The fluorescent lights in the hospital corridor buzzed like angry insects. Emily Scott stood frozen outside the ICU, watching through the small window as doctors swarmed around her mother's bed. The heart monitor had gone from its steady beep to a sharp, continuous whine that made Emily's own heart stop. She pressed her palm against the cold glass, her breath fogging the window. This was it. This was the moment she'd been dreading for 3 months. The moment when all her double shifts, all her scraped-together payments, all her prayers would amount to nothing. The bill in her purse said she owed the hospital $63,000. The number in her bank account said she had $412. The math was simple. The outcome was inevitable. A nurse rushed past her, and Emily caught a glimpse of her mother's face, pale and slack. Patricia Scott had worked 3 jobs to raise Emily alone after her father left. She'd never complained, never asked for anything. And now Emily couldn't save her. "Miss Scott." Emily turned. A tall man in a white coat stood behind her. Dr. Henry Montgomery. She'd seen him before, walking these halls like he owned them. Maybe he did. Everyone knew the Montgomery family practically built the cardiac wing. "Your mother is stable," he said. His voice was steady, clinical. "We've restored her heart rhythm." Emily's legs nearly gave out. "She's okay? For now. But she needs surgery. Soon." The relief lasted exactly 3 seconds before reality crashed back. "I can't pay for surgery. I can barely pay for this week." Dr. Montgomery looked at her for a long moment. His eyes were gray, cold as winter sky. "Come with me." He walked away without checking if she followed. Emily hesitated, then hurried after him. He led her to a small consultation room and closed the door. "Sit down, Miss Scott." "I'd rather stand." "Sit down." Something in his tone made her obey. She sank into the chair, exhausted beyond measure. She'd been awake for 36 hours, working her morning shift at the diner, her evening shift at the grocery store, then racing here when the hospital called. Dr. Montgomery sat across from her. "I'm going to make you an offer. You can say no. But I advise you not to." Emily's stomach twisted. "What kind of offer?" "I need a wife." She blinked. "Excuse me? My grandfather died 6 months ago. His will states that I must be married by my 32nd birthday to receive my trust fund. I turned 32 in 3 weeks. That's insane. That's my grandfather." He leaned forward. "I'm offering you a business arrangement. Pretend to be my wife for 1 year. I'll pay for your mother's surgery, all her medical bills, and give you $100,000 when the year ends." Emily's mouth went dry. $100,000. Her mother's life saved. Sounded too good to be true. "Why me?" "Because you're desperate. Because you'll say yes. Because you have no other options." His bluntness should have stung, but it was just the truth. "What's the catch?" "One condition." He stood and walked to the window, his back to her. "You must never, under any circumstances, fall in love with me." The words hung in the air like smoke. Emily almost laughed. "That's your condition? That's what you're worried about?" He turned. His face was stone. "That's my only condition. This is a business transaction. I don't want complications. I don't want emotions. Can you agree to that?" Emily thought of her mother in that hospital bed. She thought of the bills, the collection calls, the fear that woke her up every night. She thought of Dr. Montgomery's cold eyes and colder voice. Falling in love with him wouldn't be a problem. "Yes," she said. "I agree." He pulled a business card from his pocket and handed it to her. "My lawyer will contact you tomorrow. We'll expedite the marriage license. The wedding will be in 1 week. 1 week? Is that a problem? I don't even know you. You don't need to know me. You need to marry me." He walked to the door, then paused. "Your mother's surgery is scheduled for tomorrow morning. I'll be performing it myself. She'll have the best care available." "Why are you doing this?" Emily asked. "Really?" Dr. Montgomery looked at her, and for just a moment, something flickered in those gray eyes. "Loneliness, maybe. Or resignation. Because we both need something," he said. "And this solves both our problems." He left. Emily sat alone in the consultation room, the business card heavy in her hand. She should feel grateful. Relieved. Instead, she felt like she'd just agreed to something that would change everything. Her phone buzzed. A text from the hospital billing department. Another payment overdue. Emily looked at the card. Henry Montgomery, MD, neurosurgery. She'd just agreed to marry a stranger. A cold, distant stranger who'd made her promise not to love him. That wouldn't be hard, would it? Have you ever been so desperate that you'd agree to marry a stranger? Emily just said yes to a billionaire doctor's cruel proposal. But can she really guard her heart for an entire year? Drop a comment below telling us if you'd take this deal, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next in this emotional journey. The penthouse smelled like money. That was Emily's first thought as she stepped off the private elevator into Henry Montgomery's home. Everything was white or gray or glass. Modern furniture that looked uncomfortable. Art on the walls that probably cost more than her childhood home. She set down her 2 suitcases, everything she owned in the world, and felt completely out of place. Your room is down the hall. Henry appeared from somewhere, still in his work clothes. He'd just come from the hospital where he'd successfully performed her mother's surgery 6 days ago. Patricia was recovering well, better than the doctors had hoped. My room. Emily followed him down a hallway lined with abstract paintings. Did you think we'd share? He opened a door to a bedroom bigger than her entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. A massive bed with crisp white sheets. A closet the size of most people's living rooms. I guess I didn't think about it. We maintain separate spaces. Separate lives. We appear together for public events and family dinners. Otherwise, you're free to do as you please. He handed her a folder. This is your copy of our contract. Read it thoroughly. Emily opened the folder. 20 pages of legal text. Her hands shook slightly as she flipped through. The key points, Henry said, his voice as flat as if he were reciting a grocery list. You'll attend medical galas, charity events, and monthly family dinners with me. You'll wear appropriate clothing which will be provided. You'll maintain the fiction of our relationship in public. You won't speak to the press without approval. You'll stay faithful during our arrangement. Faithful. Emily looked up. We're not really married. Legally we are. Tomorrow. And my family can't know this is fake. Right? Emily set down the folder. What about you? What about me? Do you have to stay faithful? Something cold flashed in his eyes. I have no interest in romantic entanglements, Miss Scott. That's why we're in this situation. It's Mrs. Montgomery now, Emily said. Or it will be tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll sign your name on a document and stand beside me while someone reads words neither of us means. Let's not romanticize it. Emily felt anger spark in her chest. My mother almost died last week. You saved her life. I'm grateful for that. But you don't have to be cruel about this arrangement. Henry studied her for a long moment. I'm not being cruel. I'm being clear. Clarity prevents misunderstandings. Fine. Let me be clear too. I'll play my part. I'll smile at your family and wear the right dresses and pretend I'm madly in love with you. But when we're alone, you don't get to treat me like I'm nothing. Fair enough. He turned to leave, then stopped. My mother will be at the ceremony tomorrow. She's difficult. You're not exactly easy. Almost she saw him smile. But it vanished before she could be sure. Dinner is at 7. The kitchen is fully stocked. Cook whatever you like. Will you be here? I'm going back to the hospital. You just worked a 12-hour shift. 16 hours. And I have patients who need me. He walked away, his footsteps silent on the expensive floors. Emily stood alone in the bedroom that would be hers for the next year. She walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, her mother was sleeping peacefully in a hospital bed, her heart steady and strong. Emily had made the right choice. She knew that. So why did she feel so alone? She spent the evening reading the contract. The language was cold, clinical, exactly like Henry. She'd receive a monthly allowance for personal expenses. She could continue working if she chose, though it wasn't required. At the end of 1 year, assuming she'd upheld all conditions, she'd receive her payment and they'd quietly divorce. There was a knock on her door at 10:30. Emily opened it to find Henry standing there with a small box. This is for tomorrow, he said, handing it to her. Inside was a ring. A simple platinum band with a single diamond. Beautiful and understated. It was my grandmother's, Henry said. My mother will expect to see it. Your grandmother's? Emily looked up at him. Doesn't that make this feel wrong? Using her ring for a fake marriage? My grandmother would have understood practicality. But something in his voice suggested he wasn't entirely sure about that. Tell me about her. Why? Because if I'm going to wear her ring, I should know something about her. Henry leaned against the doorframe. He looked exhausted, deep shadows under his gray eyes. Her name was Eleanor. She married my grandfather in 1962. Everyone said it wouldn't last because she was a nurse and he was from old money. They were married 48 years when she died. She sounds strong. She was the strongest person I knew. Henry straightened. Get some sleep. We have a long day tomorrow. Henry? Emily called as he walked away. He turned back. Thank you. For saving my mother. Whatever else this is, thank you for that. He nodded once, then disappeared down the hallway. Emily slipped the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly like it was meant to be there. She twisted it, watching how it caught the light. Tomorrow she'd become Mrs. Henry Montgomery. Tomorrow her life would change completely. She just had to remember, this wasn't real. This was business. She would not fall in love with the cold, distant man who'd saved her mother's life and asked for nothing but her presence in return. That should be easy, shouldn't it? The courthouse ceremony took 11 minutes. Emily wore a simple blue dress that Beth, Henry's sister, had brought her that morning. Beth was 26, warm where Henry was cold, with genuine kindness in her brown eyes. He's not as bad as he seems, Beth whispered while they waited. He's just forgotten how to be anything else. Catherine Montgomery sat in the front row, her expression carved from ice. She wore pearls and judgment in equal measure. When the officiant announced them married, Catherine didn't smile. She didn't even blink. Henry kissed Emily's cheek, quick and perfunctory. His lips were cool. Congratulations, Catherine said afterward, the word dropping like a stone. Welcome to the family, Emily. Thank you, Mrs. Montgomery. Call me Catherine. After all, we're family now. The way she said family made it sound like a threat. Beth hugged Emily tight. Don't let Mother intimidate you. She intimidates everyone. I can hear you, Elizabeth, Catherine said. I know, Mother. That's why I said it loud enough. The tension broke slightly. Even Henry's mouth twitched, though he quickly controlled it. They went to lunch at an expensive restaurant where Emily didn't recognize half the items on the menu. She ordered the chicken because at least she knew what that was. Henry ordered for her a side salad without asking, and she let it go. Pick your battles, her mother always said. So Emily, Catherine said, cutting her fish with surgical precision. Henry tells me you're a waitress. I work at a diner, yes. And I stock shelves at Morrison's grocery 3 nights a week. How industrious. Catherine's smile didn't reach her eyes. And your family? What do they do? My mother was a housekeeper before she got sick. My father isn't in the picture. I see. 2 words that contained volumes of judgment. Mother, Henry said quietly. A warning. I'm simply getting to know my new daughter-in-law. Catherine set down her fork. You must understand, Henry, this is rather sudden. 3 weeks ago you'd never mentioned Emily. Now you're married. Forgive a mother for being curious. We kept our relationship private, Henry said. His hand found Emily's under the table, squeezed once. Playing his part. I wanted to be sure before introducing Emily to the family. And are you sure? Catherine asked. Because marriage is a serious commitment. I'm sure, Henry said, looking at Emily. His gray eyes held hers. I've never been more certain of anything. For a moment, Emily almost believed him. He was a good actor. She needed to be just as good. I love him, Emily said, the lie smooth on her tongue. I know it seems fast, but sometimes you just know. You know. Catherine studied her like a specimen under glass. Yes, I suppose sometimes you do. The rest of the lunch passed in stilted conversation. Beth tried to lighten the mood, asking Emily about her favorite movies and books. Catherine asked pointed questions about Emily's education, her background, her intentions. Henry remained mostly silent, his face a practiced blank. When they finally left, Emily felt exhausted. Pretending was harder than she'd expected. That went well, Beth said, hugging Emily goodbye. Mother only insulted you 3 times. That's practically warm approval. She doesn't trust me, Emily said. She doesn't trust anyone. But she'll come around. Beth squeezed her arm. Come over for coffee soon? Just us. I'd like to get to know my new sister. I'd like that. Henry drove them home in silence. Emily watched the city pass by the window. She was married now. Actually, legally married. The weight of it settled on her shoulders. You did well, Henry said finally. So did you. My mother will investigate you. Thoroughly. Emily turned to look at him. Will she find anything that breaks our agreement? No. I had my lawyer prepare a cover story. We met at the hospital 6 months ago. You were visiting your mother. We started talking. It progressed from there. You've thought of everything. I have to. This inheritance isn't just money, Emily. It's control of the Montgomery Foundation. Medical research grants. Scholarships. Clinics in underserved communities. My grandfather built something that matters. I won't let it fall into my uncle's hands because I couldn't fulfill a marriage requirement. It was the most he'd said to her about why this mattered. Emily saw, for the first time, the passion beneath his cold exterior. Then we'll make sure that doesn't happen, she said. They reached the penthouse. Henry parked in his private garage and they rode the elevator up in silence. When the doors opened, Emily stepped into what was now her home. I'm going to the hospital, Henry said. On your wedding day? I have rounds. Patients don't stop needing care because I got married. Right? Emily watched him head for the door. Henry? He turned. Are we going to tell anyone this isn't real? Beth. She seems kind. She'd understand. No one can know. The more people who know, the more likely the truth comes out. His face softened slightly. Beth is kind. But she can't keep a secret. She'd tell her boyfriend, who'd tell his friends, and soon everyone would know. So we lie to everyone. We maintain an arrangement. There's a difference. But he didn't sound convinced. After he left, Emily changed out of her blue dress and into jeans. She wandered the penthouse, feeling like an intruder. Every surface was spotless. Every item had its place. It was beautiful and completely sterile. She found Henry's bedroom by accident, peeking through an open door. It was as impersonal as the rest of the apartment. Gray walls. White bedding. A stack of medical journals on the nightstand. No photos. No personal touches. Nothing that said a human being actually lived here. Emily's phone rang. Her mother. How was it, baby? Patricia asked. Her voice was stronger now, recovering well from surgery. It was nice, Mama. Small. Just us and his family. I wish I could have been there. The doctor said you need to rest. We'll do something special when you're better. Is he good to you? This Henry? Emily thought about the cold contract, the business arrangement, the ring on her finger that meant everything and nothing. He's very good to me, Mama. Good. You deserve someone who treats you right. Someone who sees how special you are. After they hung up, Emily stood in the silent penthouse and twisted the ring on her finger. She'd lied to her mother. She'd lied to Henry's family. She'd lied to the government on a marriage certificate. She just had to keep lying for 1 year. Then she'd be free. Her mother would be healthy. She'd have enough money to start over, go to school, build a real life. 1 year of pretending. How hard could it be? 3 weeks into the marriage, Emily settled into a strange routine. She woke alone, made coffee in the pristine kitchen, and usually left before Henry got home from the hospital. She'd started working at the hospital cafe, wanting to maintain some independence even though Henry's monthly allowance was more than she'd made in 6 months of double shifts. You don't have to work, he'd said when she told him. I want to. I need to do something. He'd nodded, understanding that much at least. The cafe job put her in Henry's world. She saw him sometimes, walking past with other doctors, deep in conversation about cases she couldn't follow. He'd nod at her if they made eye contact. Nothing more. Maintaining the professional distance. But his colleagues were curious. You're the new Mrs. Montgomery, Dr. Rebecca Torres said one afternoon, ordering coffee. She was a cardiologist, young and friendly. We were all shocked when Henry got married. He's married to his work, we always said. People can surprise you, Emily said carefully. They certainly can. He seems different lately. Lighter maybe. Less intense. Rebecca smiled. Love will do that. Emily made Rebecca's latte and wondered if anyone suspected the truth. Did they see how Henry barely spoke to her in public? How they never touched unless someone was watching? That evening, Emily brought dinner to the hospital. Henry had been working a 72-hour shift, covering for another surgeon. She found him in the doctor's lounge, asleep on a couch with a medical textbook open on his chest. He looked younger when he slept. Less guarded. The harsh fluorescent lights softened somehow, and Emily saw the boy he must have been before life taught him to be cold. She set the food down quietly and turned to leave. Emily. She turned back. Henry was sitting up, rubbing his eyes. Sorry? I didn't mean to wake you. I wasn't sleeping. Just resting my eyes. The lie was obvious. Is that food? Pasta. From that Italian place near the apartment. I thought you might be hungry. He looked at the container, then at her, something unreadable crossing his face. Thank you. It's not a big deal. It is, actually. No one's brought me food at work before. Not even when you were dating someone? I don't date, Emily. I work. She sat down across from him. Never? Not since medical school. And that ended badly. He opened the container and started eating. This is good. So what happened? In medical school? Why do you want to know? Because we're married. Fake married, but still. I should know something about you beyond your coffee order. Henry set down his fork. Her name was Jennifer. We dated for 2 years. She wanted me to specialize in something with regular hours. Dermatology, maybe. Something that would give us a life together. I chose neurosurgery. And she left. She said I'd always love medicine more than I'd love her. She was right. You went back to eating. What about you? Serious relationships. 1. Tyler. We dated through high school. He wanted to get married right after graduation. I wanted to go to college first. He said if I loved him I'd stay. I said if he loved me he'd wait. Emily shrugged. Neither of us was wrong. We just wanted different things. Do you regret it? Not marrying him? No. He married someone else 6 months later. They have 3 kids now. He's happy. And you? I'm sitting in a hospital break room with my fake husband, so my life's taken some unexpected turns. Emily smiled. But my mother's alive. That's what matters. Henry studied her. You don't regret this arrangement? Ask me in a year. Fair enough. They sat in comfortable silence while Henry finished eating. A nurse stuck her head in looking for him. Dr. Montgomery? Mrs. Chin is asking for you. Tell her I'll be right there. He stood, straightening his coat. Thank you for dinner. Really? You're welcome. Emily watched him go, watched him transform from the tired man eating pasta to the confident surgeon his patients needed. She'd seen it before this shift. It was like watching someone put on armor. Over the next few weeks, Emily kept bringing him food when his shifts ran long. They started talking more, brief conversations in the doctor's lounge. Henry asked about her mother's recovery. Emily asked about his cases and he'd explain them in simple terms, his eyes lighting up when he talked about the brain's complexity. You love it, Emily said one night. Your work. It's all I have. The words came out before he could stop them. He looked away quickly. I should get back. But Emily had heard the loneliness in his voice. Had seen the flicker of something real beneath the professional mask. Beth called one Saturday insisting Emily come shopping. We're sisters now. Sisters shop together. They went to stores Emily had only seen from the outside. Beth insisted on buying her things, ignoring Emily's protests. Consider it a belated wedding gift, Beth said, holding up a red dress. Try this on. It'll look beautiful on you. In the dressing room, Emily looked at herself in the expensive dress. It fit perfectly, hugged her curves, made her feel beautiful. She thought about Henry seeing her in it and quickly pushed the thought away. You're thinking about him, Beth said when Emily came out. What? No. Yes, you are. You have this look. Like you're worried and hopeful at the same time. Beth tilted her head. He's not easy to love, my brother. But he's worth it. I don't love him, Emily said quickly. Too quickly. Beth just smiled. Not yet, maybe. They bought the dress. And when Henry came home that night, earlier than usual, Emily was wearing it. He stopped in the doorway. Stare. I was just trying it on, Emily said. Beth insisted. It's good. You look good. He cleared his throat. I have paperwork to do. He disappeared into his bedroom. But Emily had seen something in his eyes. Something that looked almost like hunger. She changed quickly, her heart racing. This was dangerous. This feeling building between them, these small moments of connection. This was exactly what they'd agreed not to let happen. But as Emily lay in bed that night, she couldn't stop thinking about the way Henry had looked at her. Couldn't stop remembering the warmth in his voice when he talked about medicine. The loneliness that echoed in the perfect, empty penthouse. She'd promised not to fall in love with him. That promise was getting harder to keep. Emily's phone rang at 3 a.m. Hospital. The word on the screen made her heart stop. Your mother's asking for you, the night nurse said. She's okay, just anxious. But she'd feel better if you came. Emily dressed quickly and quietly. She didn't want to wake Henry, but when she opened her bedroom door, he was already standing in the hallway dressed. I heard your phone, he said. I'll drive you. You don't have to. I'm driving you, Emily. They rode to the hospital in silence. Emily's hands were shaking. Her mother had been recovering so well. 3 weeks post-surgery and ahead of schedule. But heart conditions were tricky. They could turn bad so quickly. Henry parked in the doctor's lot and walked with her to the cardiac wing. Patricia was sitting up in bed, looking tired but stable. Mama, Emily rushed to her side. Are you okay? What happened? Nothing happened, baby. I just had a bad dream and panicked. I'm fine. Patricia looked past Emily to Henry. Dr. Montgomery. I'm sorry they called you too. No apology necessary, Mrs. Scott. Let me check your vitals. Emily watched Henry examine her mother, his hands gentle and sure. He asked questions in that calm voice, explained what he was checking and why. Patricia relaxed under his care. Everything looks good, Henry said finally. Your heart is strong. The surgery was a complete success. Thanks to you. Patricia reached out and took Henry's hand. You saved my life. I can never repay that. You don't need to repay anything. I can at least say thank you. And thank you for taking care of my Emily. Henry's eyes flicked to Emily, then back to Patricia. She takes care of herself quite well. She always has. Too well sometimes. Never lets anyone help her. Patricia squeezed Emily's hand. But she's got you now. That makes me so happy. Guilt crashed over Emily. Her mother thought this was real. Thought Emily had found someone who loved her. Can I talk to you? Emily asked Henry. Outside. They stepped into the hallway. Emily waited until they were alone. We should tell her, Emily said. Tell her what? The truth. About us. She thinks this is real, Henry. That hurts. We can't tell her. You know that. She's my mother. I can't lie to her. Henry's jaw tightened. You think I want to lie? You think I enjoy this? I don't know what you enjoy. You don't tell me anything. I enjoy keeping my word. I enjoy maintaining control of a foundation that funds medical research and saves lives. I enjoy not having my inheritance stolen by an uncle who'll use it to buy vacation homes. Henry's voice was low but intense. And right now, I enjoy knowing your mother is alive and healthy because of our arrangement. Or would you rather she was still sick because we couldn't lie? The words hit hard. Emily looked away. I'm sorry, Henry said quietly. That was harsh. But true. Emily wiped her eyes. I just hate lying to her. I know. He reached out then dropped his hand. We're doing this for good reasons, Emily. Your mother is alive. That matters more than a comfortable truth. They went back inside. Patricia had dozed off, her monitor steady and strong. Emily sat beside her bed, holding her hand. I'll be in the doctor's lounge if you need me, Henry said. Stay. The word came out before Emily could stop it. Please? Henry hesitated, then sat in the other chair. They kept vigil together in the quiet room, the only sound Patricia's steady breathing and the soft beep of her monitor. Tell me about your grandmother, Emily said softly. Eleanor. The real story. Henry was quiet so long Emily thought he wouldn't answer. Then he spoke, his voice low. She used to sneak me candy when I was little. My parents believed in strict nutrition, scheduled meals, no sugar. Eleanor would slip peppermints into my pocket when they weren't looking. He smiled slightly. She'd wink at me. Our secret, she'd say. She taught me to play chess. To bake cookies though I was terrible at it. She'd read to me when I couldn't sleep. Henry's voice grew softer. She was the only person who never expected me to be anything but myself. What happened to her? Alzheimer's. She forgot me 2 years before she died. Looked at me like I was a stranger. Pain flickered across his face. The disease took everything from her. Every memory. Every moment of joy. She died not knowing who anyone was. I'm sorry. That's why I became a neurosurgeon. To understand the brain. To fight diseases like that. Maybe I can't save everyone, but I can save some. He looked at Emily. Does that sound crazy? It sounds brave. It's just work. It's more than that. It's purpose. Henry looked at Patricia. Your mother is strong. Like you. She had to be. Raising me alone. Where's your father? Gone. He left when I was 5. Said he never wanted to be a father, that we trapped him. My mother never spoke badly about him, but I saw what his leaving did to her. She worked herself to exhaustion to give me a good life. That's why you work so hard. Why you wouldn't take my money without earning it. I don't want to owe anyone anything. Owing people gives them power over you. Is that how you see our arrangement? Me having power over you? Emily met his eyes. Don't you? Henry looked away. I suppose I do. I never thought of it that way. Patricia stirred, woke. You're both still here. We're not leaving you, Mama. You should go home. Get some rest. Both of you. Patricia looked between them. Take care of each other. Promise me that. We promise, Emily said. Henry drove them home as dawn broke over the city. Emily was exhausted, emotionally wrung out. When they reached the penthouse, Henry walked her to her bedroom door. Your mother is going to be fine, he said. I know. Thanks to you. Emily. He said her name like he was testing it. I'm glad she's okay. Me too. They stood there inches apart. Emily could see the shadows under his eyes, the stubble on his jaw. He looked vulnerable in the early morning light. Get some sleep, Henry said finally, stepping back, creating distance again. Emily watched him walk to his room. Watched him retreat back into his armor. But she'd seen beneath it tonight. Seen the man who loved his grandmother enough to dedicate his life to fighting brain disease. The man who cared enough to sit with her in a hospital room for hours, keeping watch over a woman who wasn't even really his mother-in-law. The man she was absolutely, definitely not supposed to fall in love with. You're coming to the estate for Christmas, Beth announced over coffee. Mother insists. And when Mother insists, we all obey. Emily hadn't planned to spend Christmas with Henry's family. She'd imagined spending it quietly with her mother, maybe cooking dinner in the huge penthouse kitchen. I don't know, Emily said. That seems intrusive. Your family now. Family comes to Christmas. Beth grinned. Besides, I need an ally. Mother's sisters will be there, and they're worse than she is. How is that possible? Years of practice. Emily mentioned it to Henry that evening. He was home early for once, only a 10-hour shift. He looked tired but less exhausted than usual. Beth told you about Christmas, he said. It wasn't a question. She did. Do we have to go? My mother will consider it an insult if we don't. And we can't afford to make her suspicious right now. Henry loosened his tie. It's 2 days. We can manage 2 days. 2 days of pretending to be in love while your mother watches us like a hawk. Perfect. You knew what this arrangement entailed. I know. I'm not backing out. I'm just saying it won't be easy. Henry studied her. Is this too hard? The arrangement? We could find another way. No. I'm fine. Just nervous about meeting your extended family. They're not that bad. Except Aunt Millicent. She's terrible. Emily laughed, surprised. Did you just make a joke? Possibly. Don't get used to it. But he was smiling slightly, and Emily felt warmth spread through her chest. These moments were becoming more frequent. Small cracks in Henry's armor. Brief glimpses of the man beneath. They drove to the estate on Christmas Eve. Snow had fallen overnight, covering the grounds in white. The Montgomery estate was massive, a colonial mansion that looked like something from a movie. You grew up here? Emily asked. Unfortunately. It's beautiful. It's a museum. No one actually lives in it. They just exist here. Catherine met them at the door. She wore a green dress with pearls, looking elegant and forbidding. Henry. Emily. Welcome. Catherine kissed Henry's cheek, then turned to Emily. Let me show you to your room. Their room, Mother, Beth corrected, appearing with a wine glass already in hand. They're married. They share a room. Catherine's smile tightened. Of course. How silly of me. She led them upstairs to a bedroom that was somehow both luxurious and uncomfortable. Antique furniture. A massive 4-poster bed. Oil paintings of stern ancestors on the walls. Dinner is at 7, Catherine said. Dress appropriately. After she left, Emily and Henry stood awkwardly in the room. I'll sleep on the couch, Henry said, pointing to a small love seat that he'd never fit on. Don't be ridiculous. The bed is huge. We can share it. Emily. We're adults, Henry. We can sleep in the same bed without it meaning anything. He looked uncomfortable but nodded. Fine. But I'm putting pillows between us. Whatever makes you feel safe. Emily unpacked while Henry checked his messages. She'd brought the red dress Beth had bought her, wondering if she'd have a chance to wear it. Dinner was a trial. Catherine's sisters, Millicent and Prudence, were exactly as Beth had described. They asked invasive questions and made pointed comments about Emily's background. So you were a waitress, Millicent said, making it sound like a crime. I still work at the hospital cafe. How quaint. Most Montgomery wives don't work. Emily isn't most wives, Henry said quietly. A defense. Emily's heart squeezed. After dinner, Beth grabbed Emily's arm. Let's escape. I'll show you the grounds. They bundled up and walked through the snow-covered gardens. The estate was beautiful under moonlight, peaceful in a way the house wasn't. Thank you for being here, Beth said. Having you makes this bearable. Your family isn't that bad. You're kind. They're awful. Except Henry. He's different. He's certainly something. Beth stopped walking. Can I tell you something? About my brother? Of course. He wasn't always so closed off. When we were kids he was warm. Funny even. But our parents pushed him so hard. Perfect grades. Perfect behavior. Perfect everything. And when our grandmother died, when he saw what Alzheimer's did to her, something broke in him. Emily listened, her heart aching. He decided feelings were dangerous. That love makes you vulnerable. So he just stopped feeling things. Or pretending he didn't anyway. Beth looked at Emily. But I've seen him with you. He's different. Lighter. I think you're good for him. Beth, I don't know if that's true. I do. Don't give up on him, Emily. He's worth the effort. They walked back to the house. Emily thought about Beth's words. About Henry as a child, warm and open before the world taught him to be cold. That night, Emily lay in bed next to Henry with 3 pillows between them. She could hear him breathing, could feel the warmth of him despite the barrier. Are you awake? She whispered. Yes. Tell me a good memory. From this house. There has to be one. Henry was quiet. Then, Eleanor took me ice skating on the pond. I was 7. I kept falling, getting frustrated. She held my hands and skated backwards, pulling me along until I got my balance. She never let go until I was ready. That's a beautiful memory. It is. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for asking. They lay in silence. Emily wanted to reach across the pillows, take his hand. Wanted to tell him he didn't have to be alone. But she couldn't. She'd promised not to fall in love with him. That promise felt impossible now. Emily was working her shift at the cafe when she saw Catherine Montgomery approach. The older woman looked severe in a navy coat and heels. Mrs. Montgomery, Emily said carefully, can I get you something? Coffee. Black. And 5 minutes of your time. They sat at a corner table. Catherine arranged herself perfectly, every movement controlled. I'm going to be direct, Emily. I don't believe your marriage to my son is genuine. Emily's stomach dropped. Excuse me? The timeline is too convenient. You had massive medical debt. Henry had a marriage requirement. You met, fell in love, and married within weeks. It's suspicious. Sometimes things happen quickly. Not to Henry. Henry plans everything. He doesn't do spontaneous. Catherine pulled out a folder. I had you investigated. Don't be offended. I investigate everyone. Emily's hands shook. What did you find? Your mother's medical bills. Your debt. The timing of Henry's proposal matching exactly when you'd exhausted all other options. Catherine's eyes were sharp. You needed money. He needed a wife. It's a business transaction. You're wrong. Am I? Then tell me. Does Henry love you? The question hung in the air. Emily thought about cold contracts and separate bedrooms. About a man who'd made her promise not to love him. He's learning too, Emily said finally. We're learning each other. How convenient. Catherine slid an envelope across the table. There's $500,000 in that account. Take it and leave quietly. No scandal. No embarrassment. Just disappear. Emily stared at the envelope. $500,000. More than she'd ever dreamed of. Enough to take care of her mother forever. Enough to start over anywhere. No, she said. No. I'm not leaving Henry. For money? You married him for money, Emily. Don't pretend otherwise. I married him because he saved my mother's life. Because he offered me a way out when I had none. Because he's brilliant and lonely and deserves someone who sees that. Emily stood. You can investigate me all you want. You can judge my background. But I'm not leaving him for your money or your approval. She walked away, her whole body shaking. She made it to the bathroom before the tears came. She just defended a fake marriage like it was real. Had spoken about Henry like she loved him. Maybe because she did. The realization hit hard. She loved him. Somewhere between midnight hospital visits and shared conversations and glimpses of the man beneath the armor, she'd fallen completely in love with her fake husband. She'd broken the one rule she'd promised to keep. Emily finished her shift in a daze. When she got home, Henry was in the living room earlier than usual. He looked angry. My mother visited you today. She told you? She called to inform me that my wife is either a gold digger or an actress. Possibly both. Henry's voice was cold. She offered you money to leave. I know. I said no. Why? Because I'm not leaving. Emily, if you want out of this arrangement, just tell me. Don't make it complicated. I don't want out. The words came out fierce. Your mother doesn't scare me. Her money doesn't tempt me. I made an agreement with you and I'm keeping it. Henry stared at her. She'll keep digging. Keep pushing. She won't stop until she proves we're fake. Then let her try. We'll keep being us. We'll keep doing what we're doing. What are we doing, Emily? He took a step closer. Because I'm confused. This was supposed to be simple. A business deal. But it doesn't feel simple anymore. Emily's heart raced. What does it feel like? Complicated. Messy. Real. He ran his hand through his hair. You were supposed to be easy to keep at a distance. You're not easy. You're impossible. I'm impossible? You bring me food at work. You talk to me about my grandmother. You wear dresses that make me forget we're pretending. His voice dropped. You make me want things I promised myself I'd never want again. Like what? Like someone to come home to. Like conversations that matter. Like someone who sees me and doesn't run. He looked at her and his eyes were full of things unsaid. Like you. Emily couldn't breathe. Henry. I can't do this. I can't keep pretending this doesn't matter. He walked to the window, his back to her. Maybe my mother's right. Maybe we should end this. Is that what you want? I don't know what I want anymore. That's the problem. Emily walked to him. Put her hand on his arm. He flinched but didn't pull away. I broke the rule, she said quietly. The one condition you had. I broke it. He turned. What? I fell in love with you. I don't know when it happened. Maybe when you saved my mother. Maybe when you shared memories of Eleanor. Maybe it was gradual, all these small moments adding up. Emily's voice shook. But I love you, Henry. I know I wasn't supposed to. I know it complicates everything. But I can't help it. Henry stared at her. You love me? Yes. That's impossible. Apparently not. I'm cold. Distant. I work too much. I barely talk. I made you sign a contract promising not to love me. I know all that. I love you anyway. Why? Because beneath all that coldness is someone warm. Someone who sits with patience and explains things gently. Someone who loved his grandmother enough to dedicate his life to fighting brain disease. Someone who's lonely and doesn't have to be. Emily touched his face. I love you because I see who you really are, Henry. And that person is worth loving. Henry closed his eyes. I can't promise you anything. I'm not asking for promises. I don't know how to do this. How to be what you need. Just be honest. That's all I need. He opened his eyes. Looked at her like she was something precious and terrifying. I'm scared, he whispered. Terrified, actually. Of what? Of this. Of you. Of feeling this much. His hand came up to cup her face. But I can't stop. I've tried. Every day I tell myself to maintain distance, keep it professional. And every day I fail. Then stop trying. Emily, if we do this, if we make this real, everything changes. I know. My life is complicated. My family is difficult. My work is demanding. I know that too. And you still want this? I want you. Henry pulled her close, rested his forehead against hers. I'm going to mess this up. I don't know how to be in a relationship. We'll figure it out together. He kissed her. Finally, after months of distance and pretending, he kissed her. It was gentle and desperate and real. When they pulled apart, Emily was crying. Don't cry, Henry said, wiping her tears. I'm happy. Happy people don't usually cry. Happy people who've spent months pretending not to love someone do. He smiled. Actually smiled. I suppose that's fair. They stood holding each other in the quiet penthouse. Outside, the city glittered with lights. Inside, something that started as fake had become devastatingly real. We still have to deal with my mother, Henry said. We will. She's not going to make this easy. Nothing worth having is easy. Henry pulled back to look at her. When did you become so wise? I've always been wise. You were just too closed off to notice. Fair point. He kissed her forehead. I don't know how to do this, Emily. I don't know how to be what you need. Just be you. That's enough. But as they held each other, Emily wondered if it really would be enough. If love could overcome the walls Henry had built. If what they felt could survive the scrutiny of his family and the complexity of their situation. She hoped so. She had to hope so. Because she'd fallen in love with a man who didn't believe in love. And now she had to prove to him that it was real. The 6-month mark arrived quietly. Emily had been living in Henry's penthouse for half a year. Her mother was healthy, back to working part-time and happy. The trust fund had been released to Henry 2 weeks prior. He now had complete access to his inheritance. Which meant he didn't need Emily anymore. She tried not to think about it. Tried to focus on the moments they'd been sharing. Henry came home earlier now sometimes. They ate dinner together. Talked about their days. He'd started sleeping in her room, though he always asked permission first, like he wasn't sure he was welcome. But he'd never said he loved her. Never put words to what was happening between them. Emily told herself that was okay. That actions mattered more than words. But doubt crept in during quiet moments. The contract said 1 year. They were halfway through. What happened after? "You're thinking too loud," Henry said one evening. They were on the couch, Emily reading while Henry reviewed patient files. "Just tired." "Liar." He set down his papers. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "Emily." She closed her book. "Do you want me to leave? Now that you have the trust fund?" Henry stiffened. "Is that what you want? I asked you first." "I don't want you to leave." He said it carefully like the words might break. "But I don't know if I'm giving you what you need." "What do you think I need?" "More than I know how to give. Romance. Grand gestures. Someone who's home more than he's at work." "I don't need grand gestures, Henry. I need honesty." "Then honestly? I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this before. Had someone who mattered. Someone who made me want to be home instead of at the hospital. Is that what I am? Someone who matters." He looked at her and his eyes held something raw. "You're everything. That terrifies me." Before Emily could respond, his phone rang. "Hospital. Emergency. You had to go." "I'm sorry," he said, already moving toward the door. "It's okay. Go." But he hesitated. Turned back. Kissed her quickly. "We'll talk. When I get back. We'll really talk." He left. Emily sat alone in the silent penthouse, her heart racing. Everything. He'd called her everything. But he still couldn't say the actual words. Hours passed. Then days. Henry was stuck at the hospital with a complex case, a young girl with a brain tumor. He texted updates but didn't come home. Emily threw herself into work, picking up extra shifts. Anything to avoid the empty apartment and her spiraling thoughts. Beth called. "Coffee tomorrow? I haven't seen you in weeks." "I've been busy." "Liar. You're avoiding me." "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "Emily, I'm your sister now. Sisters don't lie to each other." Beth's voice softened. "Please?" They met at a cafe near the hospital. Beth took one look at Emily and frowned. "You look terrible." "Thanks. I mean it. What's going on? Are you and Henry fighting?" "We're not fighting. We're just existing separately." "Which is basically what we've always done." "That's not true. I've seen how he looks at you." "How does he look at me?" "Like you're the only person in the room. Like you matter more than anything." Beth stirred her coffee. "Has he told you about Jennifer? His ex from medical school?" "A little." "She destroyed him. Told him he was incapable of love. That he'd always choose work over people. That he was emotionally broken." Beth's eyes flashed with anger. He believed her. Spent years believing there was something fundamentally wrong with him. Emily's chest ached. "He's not broken. I know that. You know that. But he doesn't." Beth reached across the table. "He loves you, Emily. Even if he can't say it yet. I've never seen him like this with anyone. What if it's not enough? What if I love him but he can't let himself love me back? Then you decide if waiting is worth it. Only you can make that choice." Emily went home to find the penthouse still empty. She wandered through the rooms thinking about Beth's words. About Jennifer's cruelty. About Henry's fear of feeling too much. She found herself in his bedroom. She'd never really looked around before, respecting his privacy. But now she studied the space. Medical journals. Photos of Eleanor. A drawing, childish and simple, of a house with stick figures labeled "Me" and "Grandma." Awards and certificates that meant nothing to him shoved in drawers. And a small box on his nightstand. Inside, ticket stubs. Coffee shop receipts. A napkin with a doodle. All things from their time together. Small moments he'd kept. Emily's eyes filled with tears. He did love her. Maybe he couldn't say it. Maybe he didn't even realize it himself. But he loved her. Henry came home 3 days later, exhausted and haunted. The girl had died during surgery. He tried everything, but sometimes everything wasn't enough. "I'm sorry," Emily said, wrapping her arms around him. He held her tight. She was 12. She had her whole life ahead of her. "You did everything you could. It wasn't enough. You can't save everyone, Henry." "I know. But it never gets easier. Losing them." They stood in the hallway holding each other. Emily felt him shaking, felt the grief he carried. "Come on," she said softly. "Let's get you to bed." She led him to her room, helped him out of his coat. He collapsed on the bed, pulling her down beside him. "Don't leave," he whispered. "Please don't leave me. I'm not going anywhere." "Promise." "I promise." He fell asleep holding her. Emily lay awake watching him. This complicated, brilliant, broken man who'd saved her mother's life and then stolen her heart. Beth was right. Emily had to decide if waiting was worth it. If loving someone who couldn't quite love her back was enough. She looked at Henry's sleeping face. At the vulnerability there, the exhaustion, the pain he carried. Yes, she decided. He was worth waiting for. Worth fighting for. Worth loving even when it was hard. She just hoped he'd eventually fight for her too. Emily was restocking shelves in the hospital cafe when Beth found her. "We need to talk," Beth said urgently. Privately. They went to an empty conference room. Beth closed the door and turned to Emily, her face serious. "I found out something about Henry's inheritance. About grandfather's will." "Okay. There's another clause. One Henry didn't tell you about." Beth pulled out papers. "If Henry divorces within 5 years of marrying, he loses everything. The trust fund, control of the foundation, all of it." Emily's stomach dropped. What? Grandfather wanted to ensure any marriage was real, lasting. So he added this clause. If Henry divorces within 5 years, Uncle Richard gets everything. But the condition about not falling in love. Henry made that rule himself? Yes. That wasn't in the will. That was all Henry. Beth sat down. "Emily, I think he was protecting himself. Making sure he didn't get hurt. He knew from the start that you were dangerous to his carefully controlled life." Emily sank into a chair. "So the whole time he could have just let himself feel. Could have just admitted what was happening. He was scared. He probably still is. Does he know you found this out?" "No. And you can't tell him I told you. Mother showed me the will when she was investigating you. She wanted me to see what was at stake." Beth touched Emily's arm. "But I think you deserve to know the truth. He's been sabotaging this from the start, convinced it couldn't be real. Convinced he'd mess it up." After Beth left, Emily sat alone in the conference room. Everything made sense now. Henry's coldness at the beginning. His insistence on distance. His fear when they started getting close. He'd been protecting himself. Setting up barriers. Making rules to keep himself from feeling too much. But he'd failed. They both had. Emily found Henry in the hospital chapel that evening. He was sitting alone in the empty space, staring at nothing. "Hey," she said softly. He looked up. "Hey. What are you doing here?" "Looking for you." She sat beside him. "Long day. Long month." "Henry, I need to talk to you about something." "That sounds ominous." "I know about the 5-year clause. In your grandfather's will." Henry went still. "Who told you? Does it matter?" "Beth." It was Beth. He stood pacing. "She had no right to tell you that. She thought I deserved to know. And she's right." Emily stood too. "You lied to me, Henry." "Not directly but by omission. You made me think the condition about not falling in love was part of your grandfather's will. Part of what we had to maintain. But it was just you. Protecting yourself." "I didn't lie." "You didn't tell the truth either." Henry turned to face her. "You're right. I should have told you. But I was scared, Emily. Terrified of this. Of you. Of feeling this much. I know you're scared. But you can't keep hiding behind rules and contracts. This is real, Henry. What we have is real." "Is it? Or are you just here because of the arrangement?" "Don't do that. Don't minimize what I feel because you're afraid." "I'm not minimizing it. I'm questioning it. You needed money. I provided it. Your mother needed surgery. I performed it. How do I know you're not just grateful?" The words cut deep. Emily felt tears burn her eyes. "After everything. After months of being together. You still think I'm only here for your money?" "I don't know what to think anymore." "Then let me be clear. I love you. Not your money. Not what you can provide. The man who keeps ticket stubs in a box. The man who grieves for patients he couldn't save. The man who's so scared of being hurt that he'd rather push me away than risk feeling something real." "Emily. I'm tired of waiting for you to say it back. Tired of being the only one brave enough to be honest." She was crying now, couldn't stop. "I've been patient. Understanding. I've given you time and space and every chance to let me in. But I can't keep doing this if you won't meet me halfway. What do you want from me? I want you to fight for this. For us. I want you to stop hiding behind fear and tell me what you actually feel." Henry looked at her and his face was full of pain. "I feel everything. That's the problem. I feel so much it terrifies me." "Then say it." 3 words, Henry. "That's all I need." "It's not that simple." "It is that simple. Either you love me or you don't." "Of course I love you." The words burst out of him raw and desperate. I've loved you since you brought me pasta at 3 in the morning. Since you asked about Eleanor. Since you stood up to my mother and refused to leave. I love you so much it keeps me awake at night. Happy now. Emily stared at him. You love me? Yes. God help me, yes. He ran his hand through his hair. But love isn't enough, Emily. Love doesn't change the fact that I'm terrible at this. That I work too much and talk too little and have no idea how to be what you need. You are what I need. This. Right here. Honesty. Even when it's messy and hard. What if I mess this up? What if I hurt you? Then we'll deal with it. Together. She crossed to him, took his hands. I'm not Jennifer, Henry. I'm not going to leave because you work too much or because this is complicated. I'm here. I'm staying. But I need you to be here too. Really here. Not hiding behind walls and fear. Henry looked down at their joined hands. I don't know how to do this. Neither do I. We'll figure it out. What if we can't? What if we can? She squeezed his hands. I love you. You love me. That's a start. Henry pulled her close, buried his face in her hair. I'm sorry. For being scared. For hiding. For making this harder than it needed to be. I forgive you. But Henry, you have to let me in. All the way in. No more walls. I'll try. I can't promise I'll be good at it, but I'll try. That's enough. They stood holding each other in the quiet chapel. Outside, the hospital hummed with activity. But in this moment, they were just two people who'd found each other in the strangest way. Who'd built something real out of something fake. I love you, Henry said again, testing the words. I'm going to keep saying it until I'm good at it. Emily laughed through her tears. You're already good at it. I'm really not. You're perfect. Now I know you're lying. She kissed him. Long and deep and full of promise. When they pulled apart, Henry was smiling. Actually smiling. What? Emily asked. I just realized something. We're still technically in a fake marriage. Not so fake anymore. No. Definitely not fake. He touched her face. So what now? Now we start over. For real this time. No contracts. No conditions. Just us. I'd like that. Me too. They left the chapel hand in hand. There would be challenges ahead. Catherine would keep being difficult. Henry's work would keep being demanding. Life would keep being complicated. But they'd face it together. Honestly. Openly. With love that had started as pretend and become the realest thing either of them had ever known. 2 weeks after their conversation in the chapel, Emily woke to find Henry's side of the bed empty. Not unusual. He often woke early for rounds. But there was a note on his pillow. Meet me at the hospital cafe. 7 a.m. Don't be late. Emily smiled. Henry and his love of schedules. She dressed quickly and made her way to the cafe, wondering what this was about. The cafe was empty except for Henry. He sat at a corner table, 2 coffee cups waiting. He looked nervous. Good morning, Emily said, sliding into the seat across from him. Morning. He pushed a coffee toward her. Made exactly how she liked it. I have something to ask you. Okay. We got married for the wrong reasons. Because I needed to meet a requirement and you needed money. We signed a contract. Made rules. Kept each other at a distance. Henry, we've been through this. We're past that. I know. But I want to do this right. He reached across the table, took her hand. Emily Scott Montgomery, will you marry me? For real this time. Not because of money or requirements or my grandfather's will. But because I love you. Because you make me want to come home instead of hiding at work. Because you see the best in me even when I'm being impossible. Emily's eyes filled with tears. We're already married. Legally. But not really. Not in the way that matters. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring. Simple, beautiful. Not his grandmother's this time. I want to do this right. Start over. No contracts. No conditions. Just love. Yes. Emily was crying now, happy tears. Yes, of course, yes. Henry slipped the ring on her finger, beside his grandmother's ring that she'd never taken off. I'm not good at this. The romantic stuff. But I'm going to try. I'm going to be better. Present. Honest. You're already better. You're already everything I need. He kissed her across the table. When they pulled apart, Emily noticed something. The cafe isn't actually closed, is it? Where is everyone? I may have asked them to close for 30 minutes so I could propose properly without an audience. You planned this. I did. See. I can be romantic. You're learning. I have an excellent teacher. They finished their coffee talking about plans. A small ceremony, they decided. Just family and close friends. Something that celebrated what they'd built, not what they'd pretended. What about your mother? Emily asked. She's still suspicious. Let her be suspicious. I don't care anymore. Henry squeezed her hand. I spent too long caring what she thought. What everyone thought. You taught me that. What did I teach you? That some things are worth fighting for. Worth the risk. Wise woman, this Emily. The wisest. I'm lucky I found her. They told Patricia first. She cried and hugged them both, thrilled that what she'd thought was real actually was. I knew it, she said. I saw the way you looked at each other. Love like that can't be faked. Beth was next. She screamed when they told her, practically tackling Emily with a hug. I knew you'd figure it out. I knew it. She turned to Henry. Don't mess this up, big brother. I'll try not to. No, don't try. Just don't. Okay. I won't. Catherine was the hardest. They went to her house together, united. Mother, we need to talk, Henry said. If this is about the investigation, I've already apologized. It's not about that. It's about Emily and me. You were right to be suspicious. Our marriage started as an arrangement. A business deal. Catherine's face hardened. I knew it. But it's not fake anymore. It hasn't been for months. I love her, Mother. Really love her. And she loves me despite all my flaws and complications. Henry, if you're lying to me, I'm not. For once in my life, I'm being completely honest. He took Emily's hand. You can investigate us all you want. You can judge Emily's background. But it won't change what we are to each other. Catherine looked at Emily. Really looked at her. Then, surprisingly, she smiled. Small but genuine. You make him happy. I can see that. I try to. And you? Are you happy with my difficult son? Very happy. Then I suppose I have no choice but to accept this. Catherine stood, walked over and kissed Emily's cheek. Welcome to the family. For real this time. The ceremony was small, held in the same chapel where they'd finally admitted their feelings. Patricia sat in the front row, healthy and beaming. Beth stood as Emily's maid of honor. Dr. Rebecca Torres came, along with a handful of colleagues who'd watched their relationship develop. Emily wore the red dress Beth had bought her months ago. Henry wore a black suit and looked at her like she hung the moon. We're gathered here today, the minister began, to celebrate the marriage of Henry and Emily. Again. Laughter rippled through the small crowd. The first time they married for practical reasons. Today they marry for love. The minister smiled. Sometimes the heart knows what the head doesn't. Sometimes we find love in the most unexpected places. Henry and Emily had written their own vows. Emily went first. Henry, you saved my mother's life. Then you saved mine, though in a different way. You taught me that walls can come down. That fear doesn't have to win. That love is worth the risk. Her voice shook. I promise to be patient when you're scared. To remind you that you're not alone. To bring you pasta at 3 a.m. when you're working too hard. I promise to love you exactly as you are. Henry's eyes were bright. He cleared his throat. Emily, I asked you to pretend to be my wife. You agreed. But somewhere along the way you stopped pretending. You saw through my walls. You refused to let me hide. He took both her hands. You taught me that love isn't weakness. That feeling things doesn't make me broken. That I'm capable of more than I believed. His voice dropped. I promise to be brave. To stay present. To let you in even when it terrifies me. I promise to love you with everything I have. Which, thanks to you, is more than I knew possible. There wasn't a dry eye in the chapel. The minister pronounced them married. Again. Henry kissed Emily, and this time there was nothing quick or perfunctory about it. It was deep and real and full of promise. The reception was in Henry's penthouse. They decorated it together, adding life to the sterile space. Flowers and photos and warmth. Making it a home instead of a museum. Beth cornered Emily during dinner. You did it. You broke through. We did it together. He's different now. Lighter. Happy. Beth hugged her. Thank you for not giving up on him. Thank you for believing in us when we didn't believe in ourselves. Henry found Emily later, pulled her onto the balcony. The city spread out below them, glittering with lights. Happy? He asked. Deliriously. Me too. He wrapped his arms around her from behind. I keep waiting for this to feel fake. But it doesn't. It feels more real than anything in my life. That's because it is real. I love you, Emily Montgomery. I love you too. They stood together watching the city. A year ago, they'd been strangers making a desperate bargain. Now they were partners. Lovers. Best friends. I'm going to reduce my hours, Henry said suddenly. I talked to the hospital. They're hiring another neurosurgeon. I'll still work, still save lives. But I'll be home more. Present more. Henry, you don't have to do that for me. I'm doing it for us. Because work isn't everything. You are. He turned her to face him. I want a life with you. A real one. Not one where we're ships passing in the night. Okay. Yes. Let's build that life. 1 year later, Emily walked across a stage to receive her nursing degree. She'd gone back to school, encouraged by Henry and paid for with her own money from the settlement she'd earned. Henry sat in the audience next to Patricia, both of them cheering loudly when Emily's name was called. Your husband is embarrassing you, Patricia whispered to Emily later. He really is. But you love it. I really do. They went home to the penthouse that was now covered in photos and books and life. Emily had slowly transformed it from a sterile space to a real home. Henry had learned to cook. Badly. But he tried, and that's what mattered. They ate dinner together every night he wasn't on call. Talked about their days. Made plans for the future. I'm thinking about working at a clinic, Emily said one evening. In an underserved community. Using my degree to help people who can't afford regular care. That's perfect for you. The Montgomery Foundation could help fund it. If you wanted. Henry smiled. I'd love that. Helping people together. Building something that matters. We're good at that. Building things. We are. Later, as they lay in bed together, Emily thought about the desperate woman who'd stood in a hospital corridor a year and a half ago. Who'd agreed to marry a stranger to save her mother. She'd thought it was the end of everything. Turned out it was the beginning. What are you thinking? Henry asked. That I'd do it all again. Every moment. Every complication. It all led here. To this bed. To this life. To you. Henry pulled her close. I'd do it again too. Though maybe with less angst next time. Where's the fun in that? Fair point. They fell asleep holding each other. Two people who'd found love in the strangest way. Who'd built something real out of something fake. Who'd learned that sometimes the heart knows things the head doesn't. And in the morning they'd wake up and do it all again. Building their life together. Honestly. Openly. With love that had started as pretend and become the realest thing either of them had ever known. Before you go, tell us what you think. Would you marry someone for money if it meant saving your family? Could fake feelings ever become real love? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe so you never miss a story about love, hope, and second chances.